So now, hmm? Sorry, sorry, one sec. If you could please repeat the question. Not really. So, for example, you have some leniency over here. See, it depends on, first of all, the type of questions asked. If you are asked just to prepare the income statement, so I'll tell you where you'll have that leniency and where not. So, if you're asked to prepare in the same question, if you're given a trial balance and they ask you to prepare both the statement of financial position and income statement, it's your choice whether you prepare them simultaneously or if you prepare them one by one. First you prepare the complete income statement and then you prepare the complete statement of financial position. And for example, if you have a question where they ask you just the statement of just the statement of financial position or just the income statement, there then you'll have to prepare just one. That's one thing. So within the questions, it varies from question to question. For It's a bit different from maths in the sense that in maths there is a lot of pattern to things, that you begin with an equation and slowly, little by little, you the equation, it evolves as you solve it. In accounting, I don't think it's that way. There are patterns of different things, and so for example, you could be given all this information and you could just get a question on your exam to calculate the gross profit of the business, even though that would be an IGCSE level question. But for example, so there you'll just have to calculate the gross profit. If they ask you to prepare the complete trading section, then you'll have to prepare this whole statement till this point. So it depends on how you're asked the question. I don't know if this was exactly your question which I just answered, or I gave you something else. There are theory questions as well. So, for example, the chapter that we're doing right now, chapter 9, after the statement of financial position chapter, there is this chapter of accounting concepts. This would be pure theory. Similarly, for all the concepts that we are learning, you could be asked theoretical questions out of it. So, for example, you could be asked what's gross profit. A very simple example, okay? What's revenue for a business? What's the difference between revenue and other income? So you're given situation of a business and multiple, after giving the scenario, you are asked that these are the various heads which should be classified as other income and which should be classified. What's the concept of prepaid expense? What's the concept of accrued liabilities? So all the things that we are doing in practice, any of these things, they can be asked as a theoretical question as well. Acha, the best way to go about that is you have this book that I requested you to get earlier. I texted you on the picture of this book. Can you see it? Okay. So this is one. Other than this, there is this Frankfurt. You can use this. So the basic theory, it's the same in all the books. It's just that Frankfurt is a bit old. A few concepts they have been updated since. So for that, I'd recommend that you go through the your Cambridge book. So even the chapters that we're doing. So for example, this if you look at this Cambridge book, the chapters on statement of financial position and income statement, for example, they'd have some theory before they get into the questions. So that theory is the part where you could get theoretical questions out of. So that way the book, it could come in handy. So for example, if you want to do revision of theoretical concepts, similarly, even though the cost accounting portion now it has been moved to A2, you could also get theoretical questions out of that portion. So basically it's just the things that we are practicing. Any concept that we are using over here, it can be asked as a theoretical question. Acha ji, moving now to the statement of financial position. First, let's draw a rough pattern and then we'll fill it. Even though we have seen the pattern of the statements of financial position before, but just for the sake of revision, first we'll mention the name of the business, B Morse. ठीक है. B Morse, Morse, and then I'll write statement of financial position. Statement of financial position. Acha, for income statement, I told you that it would be for a specific period of time. The statement of financial position is at a point of time, that at this particular date, how many assets, liabilities, and equity you had. Acha, the statement of financial position as at what's the closing 31 December 2018. 31 December 2018. Acha ji. Then we will have non-current assets. Within these non-current assets, we'll have multiple. So for example, for this business over here, I can see that this is expense, business rates, motor expenses, expense, salaries, expense, purchase. Acha ji, car. This is a non-current asset, so I can classify it as vehicles. I'll use the name car over here, but usually I'll have the asset in the form vehicles, because a business it would have multiple vehicles. Acha ji, any other premises? This would be a non-current asset. We already discussed the concept of non-current and current assets. Do you remember? What was the difference between the two? Okay. The non-current assets are the ones which would neither in the ordinary course of business convert into cash within 1 year, nor you have the intention to. So, for example, you've got premises, and for the next year, it would stay as premises. It won't be that at the end of the year, these premises they would have turned into cash, and it's neither going to happen in the normal course of business, nor you have the intention to sell off these premises. Whereas compare that to debtors, you have the intention of collecting this amount of debtors from these debtors within the next year. I mean, within the next few months, possibly. Okay, so that's the difference. Whether this asset is going to get converted into cash or not within the next accounting year. Acha, so let's write premises, and car over here. Acha ji, premises are worth 53,000, and then car, it is worth how much? 4,300. ठीक है जी. Other than that, there is no non-current asset as of now. Usually, the non-current assets they include land, building, vehicles, machinery, equipment, such things. Achha ji. Since we don't have any more, I'll then give the heading current assets. For current assets, we'll always write inventory first of all, and then the remaining. Achha ji, inventory. Over here, we have to write the closing one. So, should I write 14,486, or should I write there wasn't any opening inventory? अच्छा, इस क्वेश्चन में एक ही दी हुई है. Otherwise, at times you'll also have an inventory balance over here in the trial balance somewhere. अच्छा, for the closing inventory, I told you it's always given outside the trial balance. The inventory that's given within the trial balance, that would be your opening inventory. And they don't have the opening inventory for the reason that this is their first year of business. First year of business. Acha ji. So inventory I write 14,486, and then after that I write debtors. Debtors and accounts receivable, they're the same thing. So debtors are worth 21,080. 080. These are the debtors. कौन कौन से हो गए जी? डेटर्स मैंने लिख लिया है. देन आई हैव गॉट कैश इन हैंड एंड कैश एट बैंक. ठीक है जी. नाउ आई राइट कैश एट बैंक. कैश एट बैंक. This would be how much? 2715. And then I'll have cash in hand. Cash in hand would be 325. Another thing about the statement of financial position, why do we write these assets in the sequence that we have written? Usually, we write in the sequence of non-liquid to liquid. So the most liquid ones, they are written at the bottom, and the less liquid any particular asset is, the higher up it's on the statement of financial position. So premises, they are more illiquid than car. It's easier to convert car into cash as compared to premises. So that's the reason you'll have always the cash in hand and cash at bank at the bottom of current assets, and the inventory always at top, because out of all your current assets, the inventory is the most non-liquid item, or less liquid as compared to others. Liquidity, I perhaps haven't used this term before. Liquidity is how easily an asset is convertible into cash. That is liquidity. Okay. Acha, these are the current assets that we have in this question. What other current assets you could have? So, for example, from other than debtors. So, first you'll have inventory, then debtors. Other than debtors, you could have receivables from other people as well. For example, if you have given advances to employees, that would be other receivables. Similarly, other than other receivables, you could have prepaid expenses. So the same way, you have accrued expenses. So for example, I receive the electricity bill after a month has passed. So I've already used the electricity and then I receive it. So it's an accrued expense. What if I pay a lump sum amount at start of the year? That would be a prepaid expense by me, right? So prepaid expenses, the amounts that I have paid to people with whom I'll carry out this expense later on. So as of now, this is not an expense, this is an asset. Achha ji, so let's now sum this. This would give us total assets. Total assets. ठीक है जी, calculator. 53,000 plus 4,300 plus 14,486 plus 21,080 plus 2,715 plus 325. ठीक है जी, what's the sum of assets that you are getting? 95,906. Acha, we put this single line whenever we want to add anything written above it, and whenever we put this double line below some amount, it means now this amount, it's not going to get added in the things below it. Okay, this is the sum total. Acha, so this is the total asset side. The other side of the statement of financial position, if you remember, that is equity and liabilities. Equity and liabilities. Acha ji, for equity and liabilities, the first thing that I'll have is opening capital. How much was capital? It was 23,263. 23,263. And then I add to it profit for the year. Acha ji, since this is the first year of operations, there wouldn't be any retained earnings. If there were any retained earnings, I would have added those over here as well, below or before the profit for the year. Acha, in this case, profit for the year was 84,843. ठीक है जी, profit for the year is 84,843. And then from this, we deduct drawings. How much are drawings? 23,400. Wow, 23,400. So see, he withdrew an amount more than the capital he had at start of this year. Anyhow, his choice. 23,263 plus 84,843 minus 23,400. 84,706. 84,706. So this is the total of my equity. As for liabilities, again, for liabilities, I would have written first the non-current liabilities and then the current liabilities. Non-current liabilities are, for example, any bank loan that you have taken for which the payback period is beyond 1 year's time. Similarly, if you have got an asset on lease, the lease payments, they usually involve payments over a period of time. So payments beyond 1 year, they all fall in non-current liabilities. Creditors, over here in this particular case, the liabilities, the only liability that I have is creditors or trade payables. So these would be my current liabilities. So I write current liabilities, and for this I write creditors. How much? 11,200. And then we just do the sum. So let's take a small, let's pause for a bit, let the azan finish, and then inshallah I'll resume. Asha ji, this shows over here that the sum of equity and liabilities, this matches with the sum of assets that we had. So again, the fundamental accounting equation that assets are equal to capital or equity plus liabilities, this equation is proved, and this should stand true for all the statement of financial position questions. These two amounts, they should match dot to dot, penny to penny. Acha, that's it for this one. Let's just practice this one also quickly, the 7.4a right now, even though these are quite simple ones. Okay, we can do one more. Shall we do? Acha, if I do this one right now, 9.5a, would we have enough time? Charanji, let's try this one, 9.5a. Okay, the same way you have done this one, you can practice it on the previous income statements that you have drawn. You can also draw the statement of financial position for those. Right now, I want to solve a complete question in which first I will draw the income statement and then the statement of financial position for that business. Okay. So let's do it together. First, we'll prepare the income statement complete and then the statement of financial position. ठीक है जी, तो हमारे पास पैटर्न क्या था? We write name of the business, TO1s. Then we write income statement. And is it for the year ended? Yes, complete year. Income statement for the year ended. कब जी? 31 March 2019. 31 March 2019. Acha, let's read the items first. There is stock, sales, carriage outwards, inwards, return outwards. This would be purchase return, wages, salaries, business rates. Acha ji, another thing, there is no return inwards. Is there returns inwards? I can't see as of now. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि इस बिजनेस में सेल्स रिटर्न्स नहीं हैं. ठीक है, ठीक है. चलें जी, प्रिपेयर करना स्टार्ट करते हैं. सबसे पहले हम लिख देंगे सेल्स. हाउ मच इज दी सेल्स? 276,400. 276,400. ठीक है जी. लेस, जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ पैटर्न, ताकि हमें वो पैटर्न पूरा रिविजन में रहे. सेल्स लेस सेल्स रिटर्न, इवन दो देर आर नन राइट नाउ. सेल्स रिटर्न इसके आगे डैश लगा देंगे. टू शो अ ज़ीरो बैलेंस वी यूजुअली राइट दिस डैश, और ये हम डिडक्ट करते हैं तो वी गेट नेट सेल्स. ठीक है जी, हमारी नेट सेल्स कितनी आ गई? 276,400. अच्छा, मेरी क्योंकि वो प्रैक्टिस है तो देर आर सर्टेन थिंग्स दैट आई डोंट डू, बट फॉर यू आई एडवाइज कि आप जो जो अमाउंट यहाँ ट्रायल बैलेंस में से यूज़ करती जाए ना, उसके ऊपर टिक लगाती जाए कि ये अमाउंट जो है ये मैंने यूज़ कर लिया है. Similarly, as of now, we do not have these are simple trial balances. There are no adjustments to these trial balances. Later on, we'll have trial balances below which there would be certain closing adjustments. So what we would do is first we would adjust the trial balance via double entries, and then for each item that we post, we'll put text. That's something obviously I'll go in detail over there when we get to that topic. But just to give you a heads up that this is what a simple trial balance looks like. Later on, we'll have trial balances which would have adjustments to them as well, and we'd learn how to prepare the financial statements out of those as well. So the only thing out of this is this closing stock, if I could make an adjustment over here, I would debit and credit it. Why? The debit aspect of this closing stock, it would appear in the statement of financial position, and the credit aspect, it would appear in the income statement because it has the effect of increasing the gross profit. We'll soon see how. Acha, so sales less sales return, we get net sales. Then I say less cost of goods sold, cost of goods sold. Acha ji, the first item in cost of goods sold is opening inventory. Opening inventory. अच्छा जी, हाँ इसको मैं थोड़ा सा आगे मूव करता हूँ. ठीक है जी. How much is my opening inventory over here? Stock 52,800. 52,800. Then I add to that purchases. Add purchases. How much are purchases? 141,300. 141,300. From purchases, I deduct purchase returns or return inwards. No, return outwards. Return outwards. Return outwards. How much are return outwards? 2408. 408. Then I add carriage inwards. So there is this general concept in accounting that all the costs which are incurred for a particular procedure, they are made as cost of that particular procedure. So for example, these carriage inwards, since they are incurred in they are involved with purchases, the purchases they wouldn't be complete without having this carriage inwards, so it would be included in cost of goods sold part over here. Whereas carriage outwards, since it's not directly part of production cost, it shouldn't be included in cost of goods sold, it should be included in operating expenses. So carriage inwards is 1350, and then from this I less closing stock or closing inventory. How much is closing inventory? 58,440. 58,440. So we can see over here that this closing inventory that I write in the income statement, it reduces cost of goods sold, or it reduces an expense, or in other words, it increases the profit or it increases the revenue. So it has the effect of, the more the closing inventory of a business, the higher, if two businesses, everything else is the same, the business with higher closing inventory would have more profit. Okay. Achha ji, this also to be deducted was 2408. Did you calculate the cost of goods sold? 52,800. ठीक है जी, let's add and calculate 141,300 minus 2408 plus 1350 minus 58,440. 58,440. ठीक है जी. I think I'm getting cost of goods sold at 134602. Do you get the same answer? 134602. And if I deduct this cost of goods sold from the sales minus 276 400, I get 141798. This would be the gross profit of the business. अच्छा जी, ठीक है. अच्छा, now coming down to operating expenses. अच्छा जी, is there any other income? Let's see, capital drawings, cash, fixture, building, sundry expenses, insurance. अच्छा, there are certain items for which there could be an income and it could be an expense. So for example, rent. How would I, if it mentions in the trial balance just as the amount rent, how would I know whether it's an expense or an income? If it's mentioned in the debit column, it would be an expense. If it's mentioned in the credit column, it would be income, because incomes, they have credit balances, and expenses, they have debit balances, right? अच्छा जी, अच्छा जी. Income. Uh, the credit column, it would be income. So in this case, if it would have been a rent income over here, I would have written over here other income. Let me in fact write that and write nil balance so that we practice for that as well. Add other income. Since there is none, I'll put a dash. And then I deduct less operating expenses. Okay. Achha ji. For operating expenses, the first one that I'll write is wages and salaries. Whoosh, wages and salaries. Wages and salaries. Achha ji, wages and salaries. Let me write over here in the inner column how much? 63,400. अच्छा जी, then I've got carriage outwards. इसको पहले लिख लूँ before I forget it. Carriage outwards. How much is carried outwards? 5840. अच्छा जी, carriage outwards हो गया. Wages हो गए. Business rates 3,800. $3,800. अच्छा जी, communication expenses 714. 714. Then commissions paid. Commission, similarly, it could have a debit balance or a credit balance. So from that, we'll figure out if it's an income or an expense. Commissions over here are 1930. 930. Acha ji. Then we have got insurance 1830. Insurance 1830. Acha. Then sundry expenses 208. 208. अच्छा जी, the remaining items are balance sheet items. ठीक है. These are all the expenses. Let's add them. We have 63,400 plus 5840 plus 3,800 plus 714 plus 1930 plus 1830 plus 208. ठीक है जी. What do you get as total of operating expenses? Excellent. ठीक है जी. It matches 141798 minus answer. So 64,076. That's our profit for this year. ठीक है जी. And now let's quickly prepare the statement of financial position for the same business. ठीक है जी. The pattern same. First I'll write name of the business, T Ovens. Statement of financial position mm, as at 31 March 2019. अच्छा जी, I'll begin with non-current assets. Non-current assets. ठीक है जी, सबसे पहले नॉन करंट एसेट्स में मेरे पास यहाँ क्या रहा है? वाओ, देयर इज जस्ट वन, बिल्डिंग्स। ठीक है जी, व्हाट्स द अमाउंट फॉर बिल्डिंग्स? 125,000। 125,000। अच्छा जी, बिल्डिंग्स के बाद कोई भी नॉन करंट एसेट, डेटर्स, क्रेडिटर्स, फिक्सचर्स है। फिक्सचर्स हाउ मच? 1106। फिक्सचर्स 1,106। ठीक है, कैश एट बैंक, कैश इन हैंड, ड्राइंग्स, कैपिटल नहीं जी, ये सारे करंट की एक्सपेंसेस हैं। ठीक है, नाउ वी राइट द हेडिंग करंट एसेट्स, एंड व्हाट्स द फर्स्ट करंट एसेट दैट वी राइट? जी, क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री। एक्सेलेंट, क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री। ठीक है जी, हाउ मच क्लोजिंग इन्वेंट्री? ये यहाँ पे जो हमने लिखी थी 58,440। 58,440, and then after that we'll write debtors. ठीक है जी, हाउ मच debtors? 45,900। 45,900। ठीक है जी, आफ्टर दैट फिक्सचर्स, क्रेडिटर्स नहीं, कैश एट बैंक एंड कैश इन हैंड। कैश एट बैंक and then cash in hand. ठीक है जी, how much is cash at bank? 31,420। and how much is cash in hand? 276। ठीक है जी, that's it. Uh-oh, what's the total of assets? Quickly, 125,000 plus मैंने क्या लिखा है? फिक्सचर्स कितना है? 1106, and then 58,440 plus 45,900 plus 31,400 plus how much question hand? 276। 276। ठीक है जी, what's the sum that you're getting? 122, 42? Could you please check again? Either I've made a mistake or you have. 6, 58,440, then 45,900, then 31,420. अच्छा नहीं, I've made a mistake. Your balance was right. 142। ठीक है जी, 142। ठीक है जी, quickly for equity and liabilities. अच्छा जी, capital is how much? Capital is 210,516, 210,516. We add profit for year. How much is profit for this year? 64,076. 64,076. I should have put a double line below it. Double line. ठीक है जी, and then I've got drawings. Drawings, how much are drawings? 37,320. These would be deducted less. अच्छा जी, 210516 plus 64076 minus 37320. G capital, what's the amount that you're getting? Okay, I get the same. And then for liabilities, I just have creditors. So I write current liabilities and creditors. What's the amount of creditors? 24870. 24870. ठीक है जी, if I quickly add total equity and liabilities plus 24870, 262142, 262142. ठीक है जी, तो once again I can see that these two balances match. अच्छा, जो आखिर में मैं arrow draw करता हूँ, this is not necessary to draw, this is just to show कि these two balances are matching and these were the balances that we were trying to match.